Yes, and here we go. This is the Social Monkey, back for episode number 7. This is the lockdown episode. I've held off for as long as I can. I've got itchy feet. I've got to get back online. And as you can see, lockdown number 7 on the Social Monkey, sponsored by Universal Vinyls. Now, you guys have probably seen that I've been peddling some hoodies and hats and lanyards and other bits and pieces, which has been going out the door at a relatively slow pace, as I can imagine. But the people that have purchased jumpers and had jumpers sent to them have been overly impressed, not expecting the comfiness of what everybody was probably thinking was going to be some cheap took. It's actually rather comfy. Again, I've got my one on now. Nice and comfy. Also, the hats keep my nice bald light bulb head warm, which is nice in this current winter months. But as we all know, we're only going out for shopping at the minute, which is a bit of a shitter, unfortunately. But moving forward with the old lockdown stuff, hopefully everybody's coping to the best of their abilities. I know it's tough out there at the minute, but hopefully the Social Monkey can bring some light at the end of the lockdown tunnel, which we're currently still stuck in the fucking middle of at the minute. The government are looking to hopefully get us all vaccinated by the end of July, which is something I'm sincerely hoping happens as soon as fucking possible. I need my social activity and this podcast to get up and running. There's only so much you can say on your own. And I need some interaction. I need some people in my studio. At the moment, it looks like a student's second bedroom at the minute. The wife's overtaken with her uni course, which is at the moment comes precedent over the podcast. But as you can see, Universal Vinyls, they don't just do hoodies and jumpers. They do much more. If you were to go onto their page through Facebook, Universal Vinyls, you'll see their snazzy little logo they've got set up there. And the turnaround time for orders has been pretty good. Most of the people that have had stuff from me have had it within a week. So get on to Facebook, find Universal Vinyls. Obviously, they do it for all types of businesses. He's done writings for vans. He's also done stuff for car clubs. He's done stuff for me. Other businesses, I think dog groomers have had jumpers done. I know full well that a few car valeters and some car detailers have had stuff done through Universal Vinyls as well. Definitely an up and coming small business. Definitely needs more exposure, and I couldn't thank them enough for the support for obviously helping me start off this podcast. And I thought, well, a little bit of an advertisement at the beginning can't hurt. So hopefully everybody's doing all right, as I said earlier. There's been an absolute malarkey going on with the schools, jobs, NHS, mental health. There's so many different factors to take into account with this lockdown, and we'd all thought it'd be over by now. My assumptions was that it'd be over by New Year's, and yeah, that got shoved straight back up my arse, didn't it? That didn't happen. But I mean, the one thing that I can say is that King Edmund School ain't done a bad job. They've kept us posted about what's going on with the kids at school, and what's happening with what they're doing and the online classes that they're doing. Massive props to King Edmund School for that. They've done a really good job as far as we're concerned as parents anyway. It may differ from parent to parent. Obviously, I've only got one, and I'm sure other families find it a lot harder with perhaps 3 or 4, 5 other kids that are all different age groups that have got to use predominantly maybe 1 or 2 laptops in the house. It's going to be fucking difficult, especially people with special needs and learning difficulties as well. I'm sure that's become a lot harder for parents nowadays. But hopefully there's enough social groups out there to make sure that everybody feels like they're not alone if they need help. Seek out people who are obviously in the same position as you, group pages and things like that, to make sure that you guys are obviously getting the help and support that you need. We're not going to get it all from the government, unfortunately. We've been lucky enough to get some help from the government where other countries aren't so lucky. So, yeah, hopefully, fingers crossed, the school situation gets resolved once all of the elderly and vulnerable and people on the front line are all vaccinated. I'll definitely be taking my vaccination when that comes on. It's not as if the vaccinations we've had already haven't worked. You think of polio, measles, mumps and rubella, loads of other jabs that we've had over the years has never been questioned. So considering the amount of people this has killed, regardless of age, colour, creed, race, religion, or anything else. I think it's a good idea for all of us to jump on board so we can try and get back to a new society, which I think it's going to be, not the old ways. I don't think that we're going to go back to our old ways. I think a lot more people are going to be more stringent with their money. A lot more people probably going to eat less, exercise more. I think that there's a lot more emphasis on being healthy, and being able to exercise has probably been one of the saving graces of people in the UK at the minute. Being able to get out on your bike, go running, at least you can go with one other person from another household to a certain degree. Obviously, you've still got to keep your distance, but fingers crossed, this might have a little bit of a change of emphasis on the way that life is led in the UK. Perhaps a little bit less drinking, a little bit more exercise. So with the exercise sort of thing, let's move on to a fantastic way of keeping your what's the right way of putting it? Your aerobic exercise to the best of its possibilities. Yes. So my lockdown way of getting through misery has been through music, and a lot of others have probably seen through my Facebook page that I'm consistently putting up tunes that I'm listening to from all different walks of life. But one group of people have absolutely helped a lot of people through lockdown through their music, and that's the guys over at Reform. Massive follower of these guys. Don't get a chance to listen as much as I'd like to, due to obviously other responsibilities through work and the time frames that I work and such. But when I'm able to, those guys put on some fucking fantastic sets, and they get you banging. They've got some tunes, they have got some moves, and I'll tell you what, they know how to have a laugh, keeping people upbeat and moving to fantastic music. Now, M&A, KCF, Reece Collins, all of those guys that I know personally are going to be DJing on that. I think that comes live. I think it's called Cupid's Arrow, I think it's called, if I'm not right. Let's double check that before I pulls it up. It is the Cupid's Arrow, Saturday, the 13th of February, 2001. Now, I'm telling you, if you guys can log into Mixcloud on that day, this is going to be one fat set and a half. Everybody needs to jump on board with this. It's on a Saturday. Hopefully everybody's not working. It's from noon until late, which could be any time you fucking want, really, isn't it, I suppose? And there's some massive headliners on there, people from all walks of life. There's also going to be some international flavour on there as well. So, we've got to make sure that we log into this and get everybody on board. Like I said, with this, it's uplifting, happy, good music. So everybody jump on that. So KCF, M&A, Reece Collins, all of you guys that are going to be DJing on there who I know and who I've listened to before, good luck to you guys, and hopefully you pull in some viewers, because I can guarantee once there's a few, many will follow, as we know. Also, don't forget to catch Reece Collins on Street Sounds Radio. He's on Saturdays and Sundays from 5 until 7. Again, massive platform for Reece to be on as well. And there's plenty of other DJs that, unfortunately, I don't get a chance to listen to. But Reece is definitely someone I've followed for a number of years now, for at least 10 to 15 years. And he's one of the top DJs, in my opinion, in and around the area, if not the country. So that's not just because of his music. That's the personality of him as well. Him as a person, him as a DJ, and him as a father. The geezer's on my top 2 of DJs who I know. Yes. There ain't many, but I can tell you now, he's absolutely spot on. Absolutely spot on. Now, moving on from the music, we go on to the gaming. Now, I am absolutely immersed into Cyberpunk 2077 at the minute. Everybody's been moaning, oh, the glitches, oh, the failures, oh, the saves are all bad, it's not working. I'll tell you what, if you can plough through the glitches, then it becomes an absolutely immersive, fantastic game. There are plenty of reviews caning it, which is fine. I don't give a shit. I'm a massive follower of the the brand itself of Cyberpunk and Shadowrun. Now, if you don't know what Shadowrun is, if you've played Cyberpunk, if you've not seen Shadowrun, it originated back in the early 90s on the Super Nintendo, and it was more of a, how can you put it? Um, it was like an RPG, action based a little bit, but there was a lot of reading involved. You had to read code, you had to read text, you had to follow certain maps and bits and pieces, and it was a very long winded game. And you had to spend time in playing it. But unfortunately, um, as a kid, you want a bit more action, so I didn't really play it too much until it was remade and redone by Harebrained Schemes, which I think is a game developer based out in Canada. And they've done it more as a turn based game where you were immersed into certain roles and missions, like you are on Cyberpunk, more turn-based and a little bit less graphically advanced, so to speak. It's available on Steam. There was 3 separate games made, plus an online version as well, which I purchased all of those. Um, and you have the same aspect. You have to build up your certain techniques with your weapons, but also incorporates magic in Shadowrun. So magic also with elves, orcs, and dwarves as well. But the technological based part of things are there as well. So you've got you can build drones, you can incorporate that in with your guns and loads of other different stuff as well. So if you like Cyberpunk and you want something a little bit more scaled down, a little bit less long, the Shadowrun series definitely merges in with that quite well. And it'd be interesting to see if Cyberpunk do look to use some of the Shadowrun features. I mean, it's littered throughout Cyberpunk. If you played both genres of games, you can see some of the Shadowrun aspects have been implanted into Cyberpunk, and I think it was vice versa, really, where Cyberpunk was a tabletop-based written game, which was made with other people playing. So there'd be maybe a set of 10 people, one narrator, a bit like the Dungeons and Dragons setup, but more of a technological based way. Having to do missions, make choices. Can you go this way? Can you go that way? Not for everybody, but the way that it's been incorporated into the game by CD Projekt Red and all of the other people that were involved within making of Cyberpunk 2077, hats off. Considering it's not as sexy as shown on the adverts that what it should be everybody's expecting. On the PS4, it does the job. It doesn't surprise me it crashes. It's a massive game. I mean, it was bigger than the Final Fantasy VII remake, for Christ's sake, and that had some absolutely mind-blowing textures and graphics on that game. That didn't crash once, but that little bit extra that you've got on Cyberpunk, I think people need to be a little bit more patient. Something as big as this and as good as this isn't going to be done as brilliantly as it would be on a PC or on a PS5. But again, how many people have actually got a PS5? It's not that many. A few people have got it, and who's to say that they're not having problems? I haven't met anybody that's played Cyberpunk on the PS5 that's had any issues with it, but there's plenty of people on the PS4 that have moaned. Now, I'm not going to do any spoilers. I've actually completed 80% of the game already. I've had a look on YouTube. There's a few little cheaty parts that I might indulge in later on when I've completed the game in full. But what you can do in the game in aspects of building your armor, your weapons, your clothes, you can look and be whatever you want. You really can. You can be gay, you can be straight, you can be both. It objectifies men and women any which way you can think of. There's billboards that are, that I have to turn my telly off when my daughter comes downstairs because I'm like, she can't be seeing that, you know. But it doesn't hold anything back from anybody. It unveils the facade of human life of what we're actually really like. If you're given, it just shows if we're given this much technology so soon, it'd be amazing how quickly and dramatically we could all fall, being cybernetically enhanced, having no scruples on what's advertised, corporations literally running the world. It takes that veil off and you think, is it really that far off the way we live now? And I must say, obviously, at the beginning of the game as well, it doesn't portray any that they make sure that they say it right at the beginning of the game. This doesn't portray anybody in particular. It's all fiction, which it is. All of it's fiction. I mean, there's parts where they poke fun at religion, conspiracy theories. Um, there's even a girl in there. I don't know if anyone's found it. There's a girl in there that you talk to, and she actually mentions that she's had a gender reassignment as well in there. And you would never have guessed it. They pulled it off quite well. It's not like one of the some of the ones that we see in the celebrity world nowadays. It was quite. Do you know what? It was actually quite cool because it wasn't weird. Because you know, not something that my generation was brought up with. The way the world is nowadays with the mixed genders and the way that people want to be spoken to and the certain words that need to be said when you're addressing somebody. The way that Cyberpunk done it was actually quite really well done. And even with the some of the homosexual aspects as well, because I played as a male character, and you actually when you're going to do these missions, you sort of build a bond and a relationship with certain characters, and it gives you the option, so you're not forced into doing a homosexual act with its kiss or sex or anything like that, because it is possible. You can do that on the game. But it gives you the option to decline it. So obviously, if you're not into watching that sort of stuff, then you don't have to do it. I didn't. It's obviously not something that I want to be playing on my game. I'm not a homosexual guy. I don't fancy watching homosexual stuff. But I can see the draw of having that in there, because then it gives that other group of people that sense that, oh right, okay, I'll cater to our needs. Oh, okay, I don't have to sleep with a woman. I don't have to sleep with her. So I suppose they've done well in that respect. Some people will probably moan. It doesn't really bother me. I just thought they catered for it quite well. My wife thinks it's absolutely weird, off the wall game, but like I said, it twists and turns society in a way that a lot of people can resonate with. I mean, there's a part in the game as well where you have to play detective. You have to look for different things, and there's a what. It's really freaky. I'll tell you one part of it. If you haven't seen it already, I do apologise. Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert! Just in case. A young lad, you have to watch this film. It's called a brain dance. Basically, you put a halo on your head, and you watch the memories of somebody else or dream. And this young lad used to work in a farm. His dad used to slap him about. He made a mistake. His dad blames him. And because of his mental torture, this young lad ends up doing what he was doing with the cows with actual people. So you have to go into this fucked up farm place where these people are all hooked up to these machines where their body parts are being harvested and shit like that. And you think, fucking hell, if some crazy weirdo geezer can just do that in the middle of a city, no one notices. It was just so rare. It's the sort of thing you'd see in a movie or on the news. Something like this has been found. So you can tell that they've spent a lot of time trying to grab people's attention with this, because the more that you immerse yourself into the game, sometimes the darker it gets. It gets very dark. I don't recommend this for anyone under 18. No way. Some 18 games you can get away with, the Call of Duties and a few of the other shoot 'em up games, but this one, no, it's definitely not for kids. It's definitely of an adult genre. It's definitely of something that our society potentially could be if we're not careful. It's absolutely brilliant game. I've probably spent, I think I've done 140 hours on the game so far, and I'm probably going to do probably another 100 as well once I've start going into all the nooks and crannies. Very thorough when it comes to gaming. It's got to be done. But the character customization, I think people obviously realise that you can enhance certain areas of your bodily parts, which also gives you perks within the game as well. So those ladies who say size doesn't matter, on the computer game it does. Ah dear, it also goes both ways. But yeah, game of the year, that could potentially be it. And damn, if they put that game in VR, or if they put that game on multiplayer, that's just going to blow the world up. It's going to be absolutely crazy. It'll piss all over FIFA. It'll piss all over any other the Call of Duty games. If you can team up in VR and go and do one of these missions on Cyberpunk, it is going to change the polarity of gaming easily. And hopefully they are able to do it over at CD Projekt Red. If they can pull it off, if they've done this already, in my opinion, I asked for this game years ago. If they can put that in VR and make it multiplayer, it's going to be some next level shit. Looking forward to it. Hopefully, fingers crossed, it goes that way. Oh dear, I've got to say it. Where's my boys? There's the monkey. You can just about see the United picture up there. We are top of the league. Say we are top of the league. United are back. We are back to a certain degree. Back top of the league. I wouldn't say we're back in the respect of we are once the force we was. Definitely not the case. But you can now see that Liverpool are not invincible. City, Spurs, none of us are invincible. And the team that I think are probably most in form next to United are Leicester. Hats off to Brendan Rodgers. I mean, I think he's done a fantastic job since Ranieri left. There's been a couple of transitions of managers at Leicester, hasn't quite worked. Brendan Rodgers has come in from Celtic, and he's gotten back to where they were. They're challengers, they're top four contenders, which they should be. That team that won the league, no matter if people say it was a fluke or whatever, it was a freak of nature. That was something that was done by a team, not just a manager, not just by a player. That was done by a team. And I think Brendan Rodgers has potentially got that back within the Leicester side. Arsenal look like they're going to be making leaps and bounds in the transfer market. I'm sure all Arsenal fans are going to be up in arms and think, thank fuck for that. We needed something. Even though we all like to banter Arsenal fans at the minute with the way that they're playing and what's going on at their club. I do sort of miss having the Arsenal rivalry actually mean something rather than just a bit of banter on the social media side of things. It's such a shame that the club itself has been sort of all the good. Imagine putting a football club in the sieve, and instead of getting rid of the stuff that you don't want, you get rid of the stuff that you want to keep in the sieve. And it seems like there's just been an amalgamation of shit that's just been left there. Hopefully Arteta can sort it out. I do miss Arsenal, but not being as a competitive team as they once were. I know they beat Man United earlier on in the season, but that's an insignificant result considering the rest of the results that they've had for the rest of the season. Whereas United lost to Arsenal, and it seems to have had the opposite effect. It gave us that kick that we needed to move forward. All right, it wasn't enough in Europe. I think we're still a bit naive as a club in the bigger competition in the Champions League. But hopefully, over the course of the rest of this season and into next season, we might be a little bit more competitive. I certainly hope we are. People might say, well, you beat PSG. What's the matter with you, Bridgie? But PSG playing a pub league in France where they win the league regardless of how shit they are every year. All right, maybe Monaco or somebody else might pop in. But the French league, I would say, is potentially on par. With like the Dutch league, that sort of standard. There's not a lot between them. You could say the Premier League is potentially overrated. I don't think it is. I think the Spanish league and the Italian league and the English league are pretty much on par with each other across the board. Because you look at the top four in Italy, the top four in Italy, Spain, and England. I'll probably say Germany as well. The Germans obviously have got a good setup over there. You take those teams, you probably pick the best top 10 in Europe, easy. Not in France, no way. PSG are out on their own just because of the money. If you took the money away, the French league would probably be a lot better if you think about it. The amount of players that have come over to the UK from the French leagues and done well, or not succeeded and gone elsewhere and actually done better. So it'd be interesting to see what happens there. Is Lampard going to stay in the job? Don't look like it. Super Frank, wank, wank, wank. Unfortunately, poor old Frank. Fantastic player. He's very much like the nearly man, isn't he, Lampard? He's done the same with Derby. They looked impressive. They had good spells in the season. Got to the playoffs. Didn't make it. I think that happened a couple of times. Chelsea job come up. Looked brilliant to start with. good results coming through for Chelsea, qualified for the Champions League, um, through obviously winning the Europa League. But again, it hasn't resulted to anything. He spent a lot of money, and now the results are starting to go against Chelsea. It seems like the London clubs had such a good start, and now they're all falling by the wayside. Um, Spurs, I mean, I don't know how many Spurs fans are happy with the Mourinho management at the minute. I think Son and Kane are the shining light of whatever is at Spurs. I don't think there's too much more else that's there um, to be shouting about. To be honest, I think if you took Son and Kane away from the Spurs team, I think they'd be in a lot of trouble. A lot of trouble. That's not to say that if they stayed fit for the whole season, there's no reason why Spurs can't challenge for top four and honours. Tottenham may be in a position to win a trophy this season. Maybe. It's going to be a hard task, but Mourinho is the silverware man, isn't he? No matter how shit Man United were, he won us a trophy. He can't fucking say he didn't. He did. No matter how far behind we were with City, um, and then obviously the crowning turd of them all, Liverpool. It's all gone wrong, isn't it? So you had all too much too soon, didn't you, Liverpool fans? You won it all, and now you might win fuck all. That might come back to bite me on the arse because if Klopp manages to get them boys firing on all cylinders again, we know what Liverpool are really capable of as a football team. We've seen it. Most people who are football fans have experiencing being on the hiding of the Liverpool team. Who's to say what the issue is with them at the minute? I mean, I don't know how many games they've gone without scoring now. Well, even if they have scored, it's not been many. I can't remember the last time Liverpool scored. Losing to Burnley at home. I mean, that's got to be like one of Klopp's most embarrassing results. It's got to be, absolutely got to be. It's not as if, all right, they didn't have a back line. Liverpool haven't had a back line for the majority of the season with Van Dijk injured and a couple of others that are not there. It just shows, take a couple of players out of a good team and you see what happens. They capitulate and they end up falling down the league. It could be the same with United. If United lose Bruno Fernandes, hopefully Donny van der Beek could get a chance sooner or later and get to showcase his skills. But if you were to take Fernandes out that mix, United's results would suffer. He's the main reason why we're doing as well as we are. I mean, you look at that man's stats; he's on levels that we could never have imagined. I don't think Sancho could pull up those numbers that Fernandes has done, and we would have spent double the amount on Sancho if we purchased him. So, well done for Ollie and the boys, making sure we got Bruno in, because I know a lot of United fans were calling for him to be signed. It's nice to see, hopefully, a few players going out the door at United as well. I think we needed to have a bit more of a clear out. Ollie done well in the summer, getting rid of a few, and I think a few more should be out the door come the end of January, if not in the summer, with any luck. A little shout out to Essex Police. Now, I know the police aren't everybody's favourite cup of tea, but recently we had a situation where a family member went missing, and I would like to publicly say thank you to Essex Police for putting in so much time and effort to finding this vulnerable person. It's very hard nowadays for people in vulnerable positions to be able to look after themselves, and also the people that they live with as well. It's hard for them. So with Essex Police's help over the course of the last couple of days, we found this person. I don't think we could have done it without their help. It felt really good, because all I ever see is police being barraged. There's people that don't put themselves in good stead. They make mistakes. Posts going up about certain crimes that have been reported and have not grabbed the public attention for the right reasons. And I think that this one, my uncle basically, he'd been missing for 5 days. He doesn't carry a phone, doesn't use social media, hadn't had his medication, and potentially, with his condition, he could forget where he is and things like that. And we, as a family, tried to get together to try and find him, couldn't do it. And when we called on the police, we got all of the help and support we needed. So thank you very much, Essex Police, for helping us find my uncle. It was very worrying time, and it's like we haven't got enough all on our plates at the minute, and they done everything they power to find him, and they did. So I just wanted to say a big thank you to all the guys over there that tried to do what they could and done their job to a fantastic standard. So thank you very much for that. You know, because we all know that when we see the post coming up, so oh, we've nicked someone with a scooter. You know, everyone rolls their eyes, but something like this needs to be put out there. Someone with a face, someone with a voice, just to say they are actually doing something worthwhile and helping families within the community. So thanks very much again to Essex Police for finding my uncle over the last couple of days. So moving forward, what we're going to do, I've had a few ideas on what I'm going to be doing over the course of the next few weeks. I'm not too sure what I'm going to decide on yet. I'm thinking about doing remote podcasts with a couple of people. I've had a couple of chats with certain people along the way. It's not something I'm too keen on. Reason being is that the reaction times are going to be slow, and I'm not going to get the same personal touch as what I'm looking for when it comes to interviewing and doing podcasts. I'm pretty much a newbie at this stuff, as you guys have probably already seen from my previous podcast, but I want to try and get more people on board with this. This is going to be stuff that needs to be raised, stuff that needs to be said to a certain degree, and promoting my other people that I know, like I did with the reform stuff earlier. I want to put stuff out there that's going to grab people's attention and make people feel happy. I want people to have smiles on their faces. I mean, looking at the comedic aspect of things, a good friend of mine, Jaguar Snakes, he's just done a third podcast, which I had to listen to this morning, which was great. They're the sort of people that I want to push others to listen to, because, the real side of life, the real people that you're meeting in your area, the real people that are going to put a smile on your face, regardless of how ridiculous they sound and how ridiculous they are. We've all got families, and we've all got people that we can share stories with, and we've all got stories that we'd like to share. I think faces and people and comedy is certainly missed within the community. And I'll be definitely waiting on tenterhooks to get back into a comedy club again, to go and have a good old giggle. There's only so much you can watch on Comedy Central before you've seen it all already. I've watched so much, watch so much, and it's amazing to see how much the comedy style has changed over the last few years. I think that we've taken more of an American stance on some of the comedy that we do. It's not as story based as it once was. Now, for you guys that did watch, dark humoured comedy from back in the day, I'm talking the likes of Jimmy Jones, Mike Reid, Bernard Manning. A lot of people will say racist, bigoted comedians, which, again, with the words that they used in today's society, would be correct. But wasn't just about what they said and how they offended people. It was the build-up of the story of the joke. So, for example, Mike Reid was my go-to comedian when I was younger. Didn't understand half the jokes that he was talking about, because I was still young, and I was thinking, but some of the silly ones that he done, used to crack me up, and used to love it. As you got older, you sort of understood that it wasn't all about the offensive joke at the end. It was about the build-up, and I think that it'd be nice to see a little bit more comedic build-up into a joke, rather than just quick one-touch punchlines, or watching the crowd on tenterhooks, waiting to see what the punchline was from a good story build-up to a joke, where people weren't expecting the outcome. Now, some comedians can still do that now. A lot of it is reference towards their own life. It's not a joke. It's very twisted. It's twisted to suit certain audiences. It's very political nowadays as well, which I prefer to stay away from the political aspect of things. I don't see myself on the right or the left. I've got both. I've got right and I've got left. I've got right legs. I've got a right leg. I've got right legs. I've got a right leg. And I've got a right arm. I've got a left arm and a left leg. So as far as I'm concerned, if you lean too far one way, you're going to fall over, aren't you? So the political aspect of things is lost on me. I think it's more about personal gain in certain places, more attention based than it used to be. Real issues don't really get mentioned, and it's all a show, isn't it? Really, it's all. I compare politics to wrestling. That's the way I see it. It's like a fucking wrestling show. If you were to watch the Commons during the day, have a listen to the Commons. It's like the guy comes up to do his promo. Old Boris comes in with his glasses, his dodgy haircut, flamboyant jacket. On he comes, old Boris. State of the emergency meeting, and then you got the wrestling crowd in the background, don't you? Going boo, boo, making all these milkshake noises from Blackadder. Fucking, and that's the way I see it. Certain issues were dealt with quickly, certain issues were dealt with poorly, and it happens in every single party. Can you say every single party? Every single time that we've had a politician or anybody run the country, prime minister, whatever it's been, because politics goes straight over my head. It really does. Um, I don't know how many recessions I've seen. I think it's 3 or 4. I'm only 35. Fucking a recession every 10 years doesn't give much of us most hope to be able to own our own homes, have savings or anything else, does it really? Um, so when it comes to government confidence, I haven't really got any. And that's why I don't pay attention to it, because every 10 years I see the same old shit. You see the growth of something big, you see the collapse because people have got too greedy. You see the growth of something big, greedy, collapse. Same old. Housing prices have gone up, which is great news for the people that own the properties, but the people who want to buy, yeah, good fucking luck. Where are you going to get all that money from? Banks aren't giving. I'm sure the banks are going to come up with some scheme to fucking rob you of your money to buy a house sooner or later. I mean, excuse, I'm not going to be in that position. Hopefully, I'm going to save enough money up for my daughter to be able to buy a property. Because by the time that I've got enough money to even put a deposit down, I'll probably be fucking dead. So I might as well not bother. Because the amount the cost of living nowadays is just ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous. And you can't put that down to politics. You could if you wanted to, but it's all down to mass production. Everyone's buying so much, no one's making their own stuff no more. No one's got allotments, no one's got fucking stuff in the garden to make their own veg, do their own stuff. Um, it's just absolute madness. I lost my train of thought then as well. Oh dear, I don't know. It baffles me how much is wasted. I mean, the other day, fucking, me and my daughter were clearing out the fridge before my wife come home from shopping, and the amount of fruit and veg we wasted. It was like a fucking bin bag, like them carrier bags that you get from the food waste ones. It was just full up. And I said, well, why are we wasting this much? She was like, well, I don't eat salad every day. I said, well, why the fuck are you buying so much? Now, I might seem like a cantankerous old cunt, fucking, why you keep moaning about veg day? You've got nothing else better to go on. No, I haven't. I'm in lockdown. Man, talking about veg. Um, um, but yeah, we need to be more self-sufficient as a people. I think it'd be beneficial for people to start growing their own stuff again, start getting stuff in you can do on a regular basis that means you haven't got to go and spend that money down the shop. Now, oh, you're taking that away from the supermarkets and the small businesses. Yeah, maybe, but at least there'll be less waste. And perhaps these supermarkets could help out the poor and the vulnerable a little bit more with all the stuff that they throw away at the end of every week that's potentially not out of date and probably could be sent to shelters and food banks and bits and pieces for people to use. So there's ways around it, but it's all about money at the end of the day. No fucker's got any, but they soon find a way to get it out of you. So, future podcasts. I don't know. I really don't know. I'm really looking to have people in the studio with me. We call it fucking studio at the minute. It's more like like I said, like a student's room. But I want people in here. I want to be able to have an experience with me, because I've always got stuff to talk about, and I'm always interested in what other people have got to say. I'm very, very much a good listener, even though I talk behind legs off a donkey. I'm very much a good listener. So if anybody wants to do a direct video link with me, hit me up on the direct message. I've had a couple of people who've agreed to do it with me, and I'll be chatting with those guys in the near future. But if anybody else wants to have a quick chat, then feel free to get in touch. Please like, share, and subscribe to Social Monkey. I know it's pretty difficult to keep tabs on everything that everybody's doing because there's so many notifications and so many hits and likes you're all expected to do for everybody. And it's, I'm not too fussed. If I enlightened your day, then give me a thumbs up. If we get this back up and running, there's a few fantastic guests that I've got set up to come on the show. The COVID has really kicked me in the bollocks with this because I had so many plans. And you know what they say? You want to make God laugh, tell him your plans because he's only going to laugh back and go, fuck off, you ain't doing that, sunshine. That's what's happened to me. I had all these wonderful plans and it ends up kicking me in the bollocks. So like, share and subscribe if you haven't jumped on board with the Social Monkey. There'll be more from me. Make sure that you hit up the Reform on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Street Sounds Radio, the same on Instagram, Facebook and Twitter. And keep locked and loaded with the music, people. Keeps you happy. Keeps you on your toes. And we all need to be. God knows what's happening next. So good night. Much love from the Social Monkey. And I'll see you all again soon. Take care. Bye-bye.